Hey, welcome back to Drowning in Yarn. I'm Caleb, and today I have a little bit more Christmas content for you. We put up this Christmas tree yesterday, finally. I know that a lot of people were putting them up super early this year to try and get to the Christmas spirit, but I did that through knitting, by knitting and designing my Christmas stocking, the warm and cozy Christmas stocking that's now available on Ravelry. Another thing that I do is make Christmas ornaments. Last year I made a few, but this one was one of my favorites. It's super simple, just a couple of toothpicks with a little bit of knit fabric. It looks like I was knitting something super tiny. It's so cute. It's so simple to make, and I figured I would show you how I did it. I'm just gonna sit down and make another one. All you need is a ball of sock yarn, some toothpicks, two toothpicks, two of the little wire things that you use to hang your Christmas ornaments. The ones I have here are kind of shorter than normal. Often they're those long green ones. Anything works. And you need a couple of size 1 or size 1.5 knitting needles. I'm using some DPNs. You definitely want to stick to a 1 or 1.5 because you want the loops to be kind of tight on the toothpicks, because you're going to use the toothpicks to hold some live loops as if you knit the fabric with the toothpicks. Which, funny story, last year when I made this, Brian and I weren't living together, and he came over and I said, "Oh, look what I made." And he goes, "Did you knit that with the toothpicks?" Which I thought was the most crazy question. So I just kind of laughed at him, and then I went and took a shower or something, and I came back and he had knit some fabric with toothpicks to prove to me that it wasn't an insane question. So you could do that if you don't have 1 or 1.5 needles, but I wouldn't recommend it because it's not going to be easy. But let's go get started. First, you're going to cast on 12 stitches. You could cast on more or less. Obviously, this isn't really a pattern. It's just you're making some fabric. I'm casting on 12 stitches. That's what I did last year, and I found it was kind of a good width. I did make the original ornament with stockinette for the fabric, but this time I'm going to go with garter stitch because I found that the original fabric kind of folded a little bit. So it's a little fiddly on this first row, but once you get past that, you'll be flying. I just knit garter stitch for a little while. I'm thinking about 1.5 to 2 inches of fabric is where I want to be. I'm going to stop, I think this is about 1.5 inches. And you're going to want to wind a little ball of yarn. Leave like an inch, 1.5 inches of yarn to kind of act as like a little working yarn strand. And then wind onto your knitting needle to start your ball. Just wind it and keep winding. It's going to be a little bit fiddly. I had some trouble with this. I think I may have removed it from the needle a little too soon. So you might want to leave it on the needle until you get a more substantial yarn ball going, and just keep winding until it's the size that you want. And then you're going to break the yarn from your actual yarn ball, leaving your little ornament yarn ball with a tail. Then take a tapestry needle, and I stuck the needle through the center of the ball. Then I used the tail of the yarn that I had just pulled through the ornamental ball of yarn, and I just made a few stitches to tack that little ornamental ball of yarn to the front of the fabric. This kind of holds the ball of yarn in place, and now it's time to actually transfer the fabric to our knitting needles, which are toothpicks. So you're going to grab your first toothpick and carefully take each stitch off the needle and put it onto your toothpick. Now you want to be sure that the toothpick's point is pointing to the side of the fabric that has the ball of yarn attached so that it has some sense of realism. And then you're going to be ready to put your second knitting needle in. To do this, grab your second toothpick and find some loops on the back of the work that you can stick it in where it's not visible to the front of the work. And you're going to want your needles kind of crossing in just kind of a fun, aesthetically pleasing sort of way. So stick it in, and that's all you have to do. Then the last thing is just to use those ornament hooks. One of them will be used to hang it. I took it and stuck it through a few loops on the back, sort of in the center to stabilize it, and through the the space in between the fabric and the toothpicks. Then the second one I used to actually just provide some structure to the fabric. I just ran the little wire down some of the loops all the way to the edge where the ball of yarn is to sort of just give it some structure on that side. And then I folded over the wire so it's totally hidden behind the work. So you can't even tell that it's there. So that's all you have to do. It's such a quick little project, and I think it could be so cute in so many different kind of applications. You could attach it to a gift for a special loved one. You could hang it on your tree. You could do whatever with it, really. It's adorable. You don't have to worry about weaving in any ends or anything like that because it's not being worn, it's not going anywhere. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. Leave a like down below if you did. Tell me what ornaments you like to make, and definitely hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I hope I see you next time. I have some really fun content coming up between now and the end of the year, so I hope you stick around. In the meantime, enjoy your knitting and enjoy the holiday season.